There is a piece of paper that comes with every Japanese sword. It's called a torokusho, a registration certificate, and it doesn't belong to the owner. It belongs to the blade. When the sword is sold, the paper goes with it. When the owner dies, the paper stays with the sword. You get one by taking the blade to your prefectural board of education, where an inspector decides whether it qualifies as a work of art. About 2.3 million swords in Japan have one. In Tsukimichi, Moonlit fantasy, there's a dragon named Tomoe. She absorbs a human's memories, and what she takes from them isn't language or history. It's his recollection of Japanese period dramas. She becomes obsessed with samurai. She starts wearing sarashi. And eventually she goes to dwarves and asks them to forge her a katana because she finds samurai fascinating. She has no cultural relationship to the object at all, only to how it looked on television, which is more or less how the rest of the world met it too, because the reverence is real, about 1,300 years old, and has almost nothing to do with cutting. The Kusanagi no Tsurugi sword is one of the 3 Imperial Regalia. It appears in the Kojiki, written in 712, and the Nihon Shoki, written in 720. Susanoo takes it from a multi-headed serpent. Amu Terusa passes it down, and it legitimizes the Imperial line. It sits enshrined at Atsuta, wrapped in silk inside lacquered boxes, rarely seen even by emperors. And it still works. At every Imperial enthronement, including the one in 2019, the regalia are formally presented to the new emperor. A sword authorizes the throne. It brings origin, legitimacy, lineage. Nobody is arguing the blade cuts well. In Europe, the famous swords are individuals with personalities. Excalibur, Durandal, Joyous. In Japan, later blades point back to one original prototype and join a line. Katanagatari is set in Edo-era Japan, and the plot revolves around a woman collecting 12 legendary blades for the shogunate. In the 3rd episode, she arrives at a shrine where the sword she wants is guarded by shrine maidens, and every one of them is carrying a blade that looks exactly like it. 1,000 identical swords. Her task is to work out which one is real. She can't do it by looking. Nobody can. The only thing separating the real one from 999 copies is where it came from. And not all 12 of the swords she's collecting are even swords. One is a suit of armor. One is a dagger. One is a pair of handguns. They're classified together because of who made them, not because of what shape they are, which is exactly how Japanese law defines a katana. Yet at one point in its history, the country spent 400 years taking this object away from people. In 1588, Hideyoshi ordered the sword hunt. Weapons were confiscated from everyone who wasn't a warrior, and carrying a sword became a marker of class rather than a fact of life. In 1876, the Haitorei went further. Samurai lost the right to wear a sword in public, not to own one, to wear one. The blades mostly went indoors, onto racks and into martial arts schools, and the industry that made them collapsed. By 1925, every Tatara furnace in Japan had gone cold. The smelting technique that produced the steel simply stopped, displaced by Western steelmaking. And in 1945, the occupation banned manufacture outright and confiscated swords in enormous numbers. Many were destroyed. Many were taken home as souvenirs. Rurouni Kenshin is set in 1878, 2 years after the wearing ban. In the 3rd episode, Kenshin goes out to shop and runs into a group from the sword-bearing police who stop him and tell him it's forbidden to carry a sword. He tells them it's only a sakabato, a reverse blade. The cutting edge is on the wrong side, so it can't kill anyone. They laugh at him and walk away. The whole idea in one exchange. The object is allowed because of what it is, not because of what it looks like. And the show goes even further, because the sakabato's backstory is that the smith who made it, Arai Shaku, forged it as his final blade. He'd spent his life making swords built to kill, and after peace had arrived, he made one that couldn't. A swordsmith responding to the end of war by building something useless for it, which leads to how the real thing survived. In 1950, Japan passed the law for the protection of cultural properties. In 1953, the manufacturing ban was lifted, but only for swords produced as works of art. In 1958, the Firearms and Swords Control Law set up the registration system and put it under the Board of Education. And finally, In 1977, the Sword Preservation Society, the Agency for Cultural Affairs and Hitachi Metals, rebuilt a Tatara furnace at Yokota in Shimane. It runs every winter. It is the last operating Tatara on Earth, and it produces around 3 tons of steel a year for the entire country. Here's the thing about that 1953 decision. It looks like a legal fiction, a way of getting swords made again by calling them something else. It isn't. Japan's oldest book says a sword is a sacred object that authorizes an emperor. Japan's modern law says a sword is an artwork registered with the Education Ministry. Those are the same claim. The state agreed with the Kojiki. And then something strange happened. In 2015, a video game called Touken Ranbu turned real. Named and museum held swords into characters, leading to young women going to sword museums in numbers nobody had ever seen before. One blade had gone missing after the Meiji Restoration. For over a century, it was called the Phantom Sword, and nobody could place it. After it appeared in the game, and fans began asking to see it, the Imperial Household Agency announced in 2019 that they had been holding it the entire time, then put it on display. Anime treats the katana as the ultimate weapon. Japan spent 400 years legislating it out of that job and 1,300 years insisting that was never the point of its creation. What the shows are actually reaching for isn't the edge, it's the lineage. And it was there in the first book the country ever wrote. Next time, an animal Japan has been eating for centuries that ended up as a good luck charm outside every bar in the country.